The struggle for political rights for 287 BC. During the early Republic, Rome was governed through magistracies, assemblies, religious offices, and the Senate. Political authority was not distributed equally among the citizen population. Senior offices and many positions of influence were associated with aristocratic families later identified in Roman sources as patricians. Other citizens participated in military service, agriculture, trade, and civic life. Roman sources use the term plebeians for a broad section of the citizen population outside the patrician order. Evidence for this period derives from later literary accounts, legal traditions, inscriptions, and archaeological evidence. Many individual details preserved in surviving narratives cannot be verified independently. The sequence of constitutional and legal developments between the 5th and 3rd centuries BC is, however, broadly accepted in modern scholarship. Roman tradition later applied the term conflict of the orders to a series of political and legal developments that occurred between 494 BC and 287 BC. At the beginning of the 5th century BC, Rome occupied a position in central Italy among neighboring Latin, Sabine, Volscian, Aequi, and Etruscan communities. Military campaigns occurred regularly. Citizens were required to perform military service when called upon. Agriculture remained the principal economic activity. In 494 BC, Roman tradition records an event later known as the First Secession of the Plebs, according to later accounts. A large group of citizens withdrew from the city and assembled outside Rome. The details of the event are uncertain. The event is preserved in Roman historical tradition as a significant political development of the early Republic. During this period, the office of Tribune of the Plebs emerged within the Roman political system. Tribunes held a recognized magistracy. The office became a permanent institution of republican government. The tribunate operated alongside existing magistracies and assemblies during the 5th century BC. Legal procedures continued to form part of public administration. Roman law was largely based upon established customs and accepted practices. Around 451 BC and 450 BC, Roman tradition records the activity of officials later known as the decemviri. These officials were associated with the compilation of legal regulations. The resulting legal code became known as the 12 Tables. The text was displayed publicly. Only fragments survive in quotations preserved by later authors. The 12 Tables remained an important reference point within Roman legal tradition, and for 45 BC, Roman tradition records the passage of the Lex Hortensia, according to surviving accounts. The law permitted legal marriage between patricians and plebeians. During the 4th century BC, Rome remained engaged in military operations within central Italy. In 367 BC, Roman tradition records legislation later associated with the Licinian Sextian reforms. Among the provisions attributed to the legislation was the eligibility of plebeians for one of the consulships. The legislation is also associated in surviving sources with measures concerning debt and public land. During the following decades, plebeians held a growing number of public offices. Additional magistracies and religious positions became accessible through legal and constitutional developments enacted at different times. During the early 3rd century BC, further constitutional developments occurred. Roman tradition records another secession in 287 BC. This event is associated with legislation known as the Lex Hortensia. According to later sources, measures approved by the plebeian council acquired binding force within the Roman state. The constitutional structure of the Republic included institutions and procedures developed across successive generations between 494 BC and 287 BC. Roman political institutions underwent a series of documented legal and constitutional developments. 494 BC, First Secession of the Plebs. 451 to 450 BC, 12 Tables. 445 BC, Lex Hortensia. 367 BC, Licinian Sextian reforms. 287 BC, Lex Hortensia. Magistracies, assemblies, religious offices, and the Senate remained components of Roman government throughout this period. By 287 BC, the Republic continued to operate through magistracies, assemblies, religious offices, and the Senate. Military service, public administration, legal procedures, and political institutions remain part of civic life within Rome and its territories in Italy.